Hey everyone, I'm Billy Ludt, Associate Editor of Solar Power World. Renewable energy sources are accounting for a greater percentage of output in the electrical grid year over year. It's not uncommon to see photovoltaic modules installed out in fields and mounted on homes and atop commercial rooftops. And as common as the technology has become in the real world, it's also making appearances in virtual ones. In 2020 alone, major video game releases like the Battle Royale shooter Call of Duty Warzone, the much anticipated survival horror story Last of Us Part 2, and the beloved life simulator Animal Crossing New Horizons have incorporated solar into their in-game environments. You can walk across rooftops in The Last of Us Part 2's post-apocalyptic Seattle and slip under abandoned arrays, parachute onto the apartment buildings in Call of Duty's war-torn setting, and find panels mounted onto standing seams. Or go to the kiosk at Town Hall and buy yourself a prefabricated ground mount array and add it to your desert island home in Animal Crossing New Horizons. While in these cases they serve little or no functional purpose, the solar panels are nonetheless present, and it could be a testament to the technology's growing presence in our daily lives that they are appearing more often in a popular medium like video games. However, outside of simulated spaces, a solar installer took an emerging video game accessory and gave it a real-world application.
My name is Quinn Porzio. I work in residential project development at Buffalo Solar Solutions up in Buffalo, New York.
Quinn and the folks at Buffalo Solar Solutions filmed a 360-degree video of a solar installation. Now, in sales conversations, instead of explaining the installation process, potential customers can put on a virtual reality headset and view it.
It was all about giving people an experience as if they were on the roof without having to be there, but still kind of educating people. Like, it's not just us sitting there trying to explain it and show pictures. It's like, this is a very real way to kind of look at everything and very adaptive to, as you're turning, you're kind of looking at somebody installing panels while somebody else is putting in, their flashing and the rail. And so something that kind of intuitive to what it would really be like on the roof.
While Quinn admitted he's not the biggest fan himself, he said there's still value to solar being depicted in video games and other media.
I think some of the biggest things facing the renewable industry is lack of information, right? If people kind of understood how solar worked, I think more people would really be into it. So I think that really it's kind of, younger generations who are more quote unquote into video games than, people's parents and stuff who are in there. I think it's kind of exposing them to this type of industry that is going to be very common in the future. It's kind of cool to see that they're kind of putting that in video games and kind of creating this normacy around it, that this is what the world could be and this is what it should be, right? I think right now it's like people don't know that much about solar and they're just kind of drawing from what other people are saying. So if having them in video games forces them to do their research and figure out that maybe it's beneficial to them, then maybe that's an overall positive thing for everybody.
Back in simulated worlds, there's a game of interplanetary exploration that made solar energy a core mechanic. I spoke to game developer Adam Bromell about the presence of photovoltaic solar in Astroneer.
I'm the co-founder of System Era. We are a game development studio in the Seattle, Washington area, and we make a game called Astroneer. My role on that project is the creative director for the franchise. I like to call it a sandbox adventure game. It's about exploring a planetary system that has 5 planets and 2 moons that all orbit around a sun. The planets are fully simulated. You can travel all the way around our planets. You can also travel all the way through our planets. We use a voxel technology that isn't unlike what you might have seen if you've played Minecraft before, but rather than our worlds being blocky and feeling more like Lego, our worlds are a little bit more fluid in their look. And I think the comparison that we like to make is, if Minecraft was Lego, then our game is more like Play-Doh. And players have direct control over the voxel, so they can add and subtract terrain as they see fit. And that is a core mechanic in how players explore and discover resources for things like 3D printing and surviving. And solar power is one of those ways that players generate energy in our game to power the things that they want to do.
Astroneer was released in December 2016 to Steam Early Access and Xbox Game Preview. In the game, players explore a planet's surface and manipulate its terrain, seeking resources to construct technology like 3D printers, research units, rovers, shuttles, and energy generators like solar panels.
What Astroneer is it's not a simulation, right? So we're trying to make the themes and the emotions and the features of the game approachable to everybody. So when we talk about having solar power in the game, our solar panels will follow our star that we have, and they will generate power based on how much of that sunlight is hitting them. But we don't really get into the nitty-gritties of how much power is being generated and really exposing you to that. We just sort of represent it by very simple graphic art. But Astroneer it's not as simple a game, but it takes simple approaches to, I think, complex systems. So, we also use wind power and organic fuel power as other sources of power in our game that players can generate. And we want all of those topics to be, based on science and based on reality, but they're not complete simulations where, you're going to have to fully understand these systems just to be able to engage with it. We keep it really almost toy-like in our approach to those mechanics and pieces of technology.
Installing ground-mounted solar in Astroneer doesn't require the usual heavy equipment we use in the real world. It's as simple as selecting the array and placing it. But System Era took other considerations, like including energy storage, to back up the power you generate.
I've got, over around 15 years of experience in AAA game development. I worked at Ubisoft, and Astroneer was this thing I was doing on the weekends just to create a little webcomic, and solar power was definitely in there in the very early stages. In fact, the maintenance of a solar farm was one of the key aspects of this character that I was trying to develop before it was ever a video game. And I'm not sure what other games are doing with their solar panels. I don't know how into the weeds about the technology they get, but I do think that in most cases it is an approachable topic, because I think a lot of people are starting to understand what solar panels are. We're seeing it get used in new ways, just in media in general and in the real news. And if we can kind of continue to push those conversations, or at least help lubricate them in a way by making it a word that you say a lot, I think that's a net benefit. So, in our game a lot, you're talking about solar panels, you're trying to find the sun, you're trying to find the sunniest parts of planets that are in our game, so that you can maximize your power output. Those are things that players use in their vocabulary and when they talk to each other, and I really like that. And I hope that I hope it continues to kind of be ingrained in their mind as they move forward.
Be sure to subscribe, and for more coverage of the U.S. photovoltaic solar industry, visit solarpowerworldonline.com.